Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode with the Otaku crew. And look at that, we've hit the new year. So with that comes new opportunities and more podcasts on the way. I'm your host, Leifon, and as always, I'm happy to have everyone back. It's been a trying year. COVID has not been very, how do I put it, gentle with whatever's been going on, but we are back once again, and we're ready to drop some new content on the way. But before I can go further into details, you can follow all of our social media, as we always say, our public Discord server, where you'll find some spicy memes posted on the daily by our very own Tensa, our Instagram, Think Otaku Crew, our Twitter page, Think Otaku Crew, our Facebook page, The Official Otaku Crew, and Spotify. These major platforms and more. Look for the... Oh, and also look for our YouTube page, The Official Otaku Crew, with our microphone icon. Now, this time around, I'm joined by my two favorite panelists, starting with Tensa.
Hello there. It's been a while, and I'm glad to be part of this first podcast of the year.
Yeah, Tensa, we're looking forward to doing more projects, and we're going to get things really underway this year. And of course, my boy Minato.
Yo, what's up? Very excited to be on the first podcast of the year. And we're going to talk some anime. And I'm very excited about that.
Yes, we are, Minato. I was expecting what you did almost 2 episodes ago. I believe it was the Halloween episode where you said, "What's poppin', my people? What's poppin'?"
Well, I got to feel it. You can't force it, man. You can't force it.
This is true. We cannot force these things. They come
Save that
naturally.
for spring break.
Spring break.
Yeah, maybe.
And also, spring break means Chainsaw Man is going to come out, but that's for a later discussion. And finally, I'm joined by our newest panelist, a guest I've been wanting to have on the show for the longest time, Caro.
Hey, happy to be here. A big honor to be on the first podcast of the year. Excited to talk about some anime. Let's do it.
Yeah, we made it. And I know for the longest time, you told me that you wanted to come on the episode for the JoJo episode specifically.
I mean, it's just been a fan favorite of mine for such a long time. But I mean, in general, most animes, I feel like I can have some 2 cents on. This one, though, this one is like childhood,
Very true. There's something just about it that brings childhood almost, but we'll see as we go along, and hopefully we do justice to the topic. So this time around, this particular episode will be covering JoJo Part 6, Stone Ocean, released on Netflix during, I want to say, December 2021. And so it's going to be an anime review of the series that Netflix was able to release, as it's only part 1. There's 2 parts to this. There's only part 1 review. Part 2 will be covered at another time when that is released as well. And hopefully in the near future, because JoJo's just has a magic to it. Like, what can I say? So, one of the biggest questions I wanted to address very early on in this episode, I think we all know what I'm thinking, is that unlike the previous JoJo series, starting with Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro, Josuke, Giorno partially related to the Joestar family, they've all been dominantly male. It's been very male-oriented, but now we exit that and we come to the female perspective in this particular anime. So what was everyone's thoughts, interpretations of a female cast this time around? Caro, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. Obviously, this is all based off of the manga, and so in that arc, obviously, everybody knew that it was going to be Jolene, who is going to be the Joestar of this season. And watching part 1, I found that there were some jokes that obviously jokes about tampons.
What?
And just kind of for example, masturbating in the prison and stuff like that.
What the fuck?
They were funny, and in general, I think that the stands that they used in the prison so far have been really cool. And I think that after those initial jokes, kind of in the first episode, it really geared more towards just the plot and what the characters are doing and like their motives and stuff. And I think that it's basically still, you know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's just with Jolene now. So I definitely enjoyed that.
All right, I like where this is going already. What about you, Minato? Like, what was your first impressions?
Not only is this my first impression of like specifically Stone Ocean, but I haven't actually watched JoJo before this season. So Stone Ocean was my entry into JoJo. Yeah, and so like I've obviously seen like a ton of memes, right? Like it's all over the internet, right? JoJo's a big meme, and I've seen like episodes played in the background at the card store that I play at. Shout out to Card Brawlers in Montreal. They have just like the owner just has like anime playing sometimes because boring when it's dead, right? And so I've seen like some things, but I have no idea what's going on, right? Because it's just like random episodes throughout the series that whenever I'm there. So like I don't like this was my first time actually sitting down and watching the show JoJo, and I liked it. It was fun. It's wacky as hell, which I guess like any fan of JoJo will tell you, right? Like, you know, that's what makes JoJo, or part of what makes it so lovable, is just how like ridiculous and over the top it is. But as someone like coming into it, I liked it. It's cool. It's fun. A lot of good action, and I like Jolene a lot. She's pretty cool. She like, it's kind of weird how she quickly goes from like unknowing, incapable person to right after she gets her powers, she's just like, you know, an anime protag, right? So like, you know, I guess it's just a trope of anime that like they lean into with JoJo.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, and the fact that this is the introduction of your JoJo adventure, it shows that it shows something that if you liked part 6, you're gonna like the rest most likely. Part 4 was personally the hardest one for me to get into because of the wacky coloring, but then again, the show is called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so it's gonna be bizarre before it gets better, if anything. And I like your comment that she goes from simple girl and all of a sudden anime pro tag. It was the same thing in what was it, part 3? I believe it was part 3. Jotaro, as a young kid, he was all nice and everything, gets to the stand, he's like, F you, ma.
Damn!
It's like, where is this coming from? What happened to the sweet young boy? No, now he's just like, I can do what I want type of thing.
Yeah, and it's really funny to see like how Jolene uses her stand in all the different ways. Like she gets really creative with it, which I found like, you know, it's obviously really cool to see because you don't think that her stand can do that much, and then she pulls out like a new trick, and you're just like, oh my god, she can do that, yo.
Yo, bullets?
So
what are bullets? They don't work.
So it was a cool like experience to just like see how she like escapes death in certain scenarios, like in I think it was the last episode or the second last episode with the frogs, you know.
Oh yeah. The net
Like, I totally
weaving.
thought she was dead. I had no idea how she was gonna get out of it, and then she did, and I was just like, bruh.
Oh, Tensa. Looks like Tensa has something to say though.
Definitely, I'll just cover my point, my viewpoint. Definitely, probably the one who didn't like it very much because I've watched all of the other JoJos before, and in fact, I've read all the way to part 8. So to me, it was more of a my world got flipped upside down moment. So
Literally.
oh yeah. Like it was like, wait, what? and I did not expect it, really. So at first, let's just say that I took the anime much better than how I took it in the manga. In the sense that I was actually annoyed in the manga because, you know, it was just not something I expected. However, rewatching it is kind of it's actually kind of fun. And as a fun refresher, I just found I kind of like Hermes better, to be fair with you guys. But other than that, it's really more that the idea that it is centered around a woman for part 6 was just always a bit strange to me. And on top of that, the plot being in a women's prison, I was just more confused than anything. But once the plot starts kicking, it actually kicks. And ironically, part 6, despite it all, is actually my favorite.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, part 6 is actually my favorite out of all of JoJo's from 1 to 8.
I wasn't expecting that from the way you started off there.
Same.
You really had us in the first half.
I gotta
Oh yes,
say though,
that's the build-up. That's the build-up.
I definitely agree with you that Hermes is definitely like the moment that she's on screen and that she's doing her thing. I'm like, oh damn, this bitch, I love her so much. Like,
I know,
she's definitely like really cool, and like she already knows how the prison works. Like she's just like this
Yep.
cool, like
Oh,
badass that's like helping Jolene become like the cool prison person that she becomes.
Yep.
So it's like, cool.
And yeah, and that's the thing. It's also the fact that I tend to, and I will point out that it just so happens that to me, I tend to find the characters around the protagonist much more interesting than the protagonist herself.
Insert
Yeah, I think-
Speedwagon waifu.
You like Speedwagon? What kind of man doesn't?
Yeah, and Paul
yes.
Rudd, too.
Oh, there you go.
Speedwagon Foundation on the run.
To this
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But I like the fact that that Jolene uses her thread. It kind of reminds me of another anime, Hunter x Hunter and Hisoka. Essentially, it's in the sense of it's not about the powers; it's about the like how it's used. It's and you just see a lot of cool tricks, and and so one thing that I can admire about Jolene is the fact that she thinks on her feet really, really fast. The problem I have with her is that she went from innocent girl to suddenly Jotaro.
Yeah.
That's my big problem.
I feel like, because we were talking about this earlier, though, the fact that they play into this like perfect anime OP protagonist trope so well, like that's kind of like their whole thing in JoJo is that they take like
yes.
archetypes to the extreme, right? So like it's not
yes.
like, to me it wasn't that weird to see that like Jolene immediately like understood what was going on with the stand right away, like because it's JoJo. Like I
She
kind of like what I'm
doesn't
here for,
understand. That's the problem. She still doesn't actually. I think it takes a few episodes to actually get it. Like she has to actually meet her dad to finally get it.
Yeah, I mean, but then in that sense, it's kind of like more realistic, right? Because she's like, "Oh, I probably got this weird thing from my dad because of the thing that he gave me." Because clearly, she knows that something's up with her dad, right? And then she's kind of like fucking around with it, and then they like hang out, and like he's trying to break her out of prison, and then all of a sudden, in all of the meta dreams, she's like able to like perfectly see that she's like actually not in real life, and that all of the stuff that she just did with her stand was like not real. Able to wake up first, like that was like crazy.
That was
to
cool.
me.
That was
cool.
That was cool.
That was a cool moment to me.
Wait, Tensa, I believe in the mangas and some memes, that particular scene in the prison room has always been, I don't know, it always shows up like first episode of Stone Ocean. It's all of them covered in some white stuff. Oh no! And it's like, what?
Oh yes. Do you like my white stuff?
No, I don't like pale snake stuff. I don't.
It's actually White Snake, by the way.
They keep saying pale
That
snake in the
wasn't Pale
sub.
Snake though, right?
Yeah, Pale Snake in the...
it's a manga versus localization issue. To avoid copyrights, they change names. Like Hermes' stand is actually Kiss, but they change it to Smack. Pale Snake is because it's actually White Snake, reference to an album, I believe. It's actually a song.
Okay.
And Kiss, the band Kiss.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a stand that you see it's FF, but you actually hear Foo Fighters. So
True.
Yeah, that I actually heard them say.
yes. So it's the fact that I knew the stance in advance, so I knew what to expect. And when my favorite character, Weather Report, got his name changed to Weather Forecast, I was crying in my corner.
Oh yeah, I honestly
But the
like
thing
weather forecast is really great as a character. I'd love
But
to
they
stand.
say Weather Report like
That's
in
the
the
thing. In
show.
Japanese, they
Yeah,
actually
they just
keep
say
the real
Weather
names,
Report.
but the translations they have to avoid. If you look at the subs, they write
Mhm.
Weather Forecast.
Yeah, but
If
is there
you
a reason for that?
listen to the dub, it will say Weather Forecast. But in Japan, they will keep the names to the original. It doesn't matter.
Right. But is there a reason that they like change it in the subs? In the
I
translation?
just told you.
I didn't hear.
Copyrights, because they're
Oh,
all
that's fine.
because maybe you don't know too much about Araki, but he names his stands after,
after, like, bands.
songs and bands.
Yeah.
Like Whitesnake is actually a song. King Crimson is a group. Kiss, the group. Foo Fighters, the group. You get it? There's also
Yeah.
Notorious B.I.G. as a stand. Come on.
What was the creator smoking? Because I want to be smoking the same thing.
I mean,
Oh yes,
honestly,
and look,
Say that about all
I'm
of JoJo, really.
I'm
Yeah,
waiting
exactly.
for I'm waiting for Made in Heaven, because in the games, if you played the games, although that you're going to laugh, his original name when he was released he was released in a book format, it was actually Stairway to Heaven. So Led Zeppelin, everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you get the idea that everything that is past part 3, instead of being named after gods and tarot cards, it's really just a bunch of song names and groups, all of them.
Incredible.
Yes.
Manalo boy just had his brain just blown. He's like, oh.
Well, I knew that going into it because I had like actually watched like the first few episodes of season 1 with a friend
Mhm.
all like years ago. I think when I was in high school, but then I didn't get into it. But now I'm actually starting to watch through it. And season 1 is still kind of like hard to get through, but this time I'm actually going to do it because I know that the rest is better down the line.
You're one of
Yes,
us now.
This is why for me, I tend to say if you want to start anywhere, start at part 3. Never start
Yeah.
at part 4. If you are there for part 1 and part 2, those are cool too. But if you really want to get like mainstream, at least start at part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Tensa, you can't make him skip.
Three.
No,
Oh,
you
sorry.
go.
I
You
was
go
gonna say
first.
part 3's like were like most of the memes that you've probably seen are from, if not from part 1. Like for example, like aha, it's me, Dio. Oh, now that's like a part 1 screenshot.
Yes.
But like
Yes.
we have a little cherry man, with the tongue action. That's part 3.
Yes,
And
Kakyoin,
like
that's
that's
part 3.
gold. Yeah.
Lelelelelelelelelele.
Yes.
So
So the most of the show is good at 3, but definitely I recommend the first part as well because oh my god.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
one funny thing about JoJo as like a newcomer is trying to see is like being exposed to the character designs, because sometimes I think like there was one character in particular that I didn't know was a person and I thought he was a stand, but it ended up being a person, and that was just such a trip for me.
Is it the prison guard with the crocodile hand?
What?
No, although that was weird, but
Aw.
I was like, okay, sure. They want to make a dolphin man. Sure. It's Dolphin Street Prison. I get it. Okay.
Why not, right?
Yes.
It
In
was
Florida too.
Yeah, it was the stand user that had the gravity powers.
Wait, okay. The guy that kind of looked like a monkey.
Yeah, I forget his name.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
he had
You
like
know-
a bunch. He had like
Wrangler.
a bunch of hair all over him. Yeah, and he was like walking on the walls and stuff.
Wrangler.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, that guy.
When I first saw him, I thought he was a stand, and then it turned out he was a person. I was like, wait, oh yeah, right. JoJo character designs are insane.
This is true.
Definitely, and I agree with you.
There's like a meme kind of like sometimes they're like looking for the stand user because they don't know who's using the stand right now. And it's like, really, you can't tell who's using the stand? There's like a weird guy in the corner with green hair, like snake eyes, just like dressed like the weirdest kinky stripper you've ever seen. But like,
Yes.
yeah,
yes.
it's definitely
That-
not him.
It's
Who
definitely
could
not
it
him for some
be?
reason. And the funny part is how there's this blind sniper taking a shower in part 6, and I've just seen memes of him taking a shower, and all you see is that he has cake. And I'm just like, I kept thinking it was Diavolo from part 5 the entire time.
Oh, that's what I thought too.
Because
Oh god.
because in the manga coloring, his hair is actually pink and not white.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So when I just started the scene, I'm just like, I have this overwhelming sense of deja vu, and I'm like, oh no. Oh,
Well, look, man, blind people have to take showers too, okay?
that's not the point.
It's
I
about
don't
the
know, you
cake.
seem to be pretty distraught about it, so...
Look, he has cake. There's nothing I can say.
Oh, yeah. Damn, boy. Damn, boy, he's thick! Boy, that's a thick-ass boy!
It's really more about the fact that I thought that he was actually Diavolo from part 5 at the time. And I'm like, oh wait, he's in part 6. How come I don't remember him? Oh no, it's him! It was that revelation moment for me.
That's so funny.
There's actually something I want to share with you guys. Maybe I'm not the only one who noticed it, but I found that the anime overall, season 6, part 1. Oh my god. It got the
You
atmosphere.
mean part 6, part 1? It's actually called part 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's confusing now. Okay.
Awful
Whatever Netflix
label, yeah.
released. I found
Part
that
6, first half. Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. Part 6, first half, according to Tensa, it captured the atmosphere of the prison system really well, especially a women's prison. Like, you see very early on that when when was it, her cellmate sabotaged her, she didn't get any food, or when it was her turn to use the phone, someone else came in the way. It became a question of who has the most money and all that. A very cutthroat system, and I really liked it. It's like Jolene has to navigate her way through these trials and tribulations.
Oh, definitely. And in fact, they even literally tell her, oh, that's the strange things about prisons, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that it's fun to see her go through this, like, no, nobody's gonna do that to me, to like, oh, you let that girl borrow $1 from you, you shouldn't have done that, you need to get it back right now. Otherwise, like, you're gonna be like a prison bitch. And like to see her go through this whole thing of like, I'm just being nice because I'm a like decent human being, and then everybody around her being like, you can't do that here. And then her changing kind of her behavior to adapt is definitely like a part of the show that I don't think we've seen in many of the JoJo seasons up until now, because we haven't had to have a protagonist like go through a change in lifestyle.
And yeah, it's the fact that she adapted so fast that actually boggled me. But it kind of makes sense that by heeding to one advice, boom, tough and mean. You know?
I mean,
give me that
$1,
right? and I like that when it's like, give me that $1, grinds an entire dollar into her coffee, needs to go to the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, pay me 10.
Yeah, I actually
so
love
good.
that scene. That was so
great.
Good.
That was
It was
great.
so good.
My favorite part of that scene was when she went up to the other girl that was already getting like taken advantage of by the other inmates.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was like, "Here, you can do this. The rest is up to you."
That was cute. That was very cute because one of my hopes is that she doesn't get bullied anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just great that she was able to like retain her like hero status while also like, you know, or not conforming, but like adapting to the environment that she's in, which is literally like, you have to be a pretty terrible person here, otherwise you're gonna get taken advantage of, right? But she still kind of like walks the line without like compromising too much, which is cool.
Keep in mind that being an anti-hero exists, and I thought that she was going to cross that line.
But that's just it, right? Is that like it would have been?
Did.
Yeah.
She did not yet at all.
I mean, I'm hoping that she doesn't. I kind of like that she's kind of tiptoeing this line of, yeah, okay, I'll do what I have to like not be taken advantage of, but also I'm not going to take advantage of anybody here. Like I think
Basic,
that's
That
definitely
doesn't
basically,
deserve
she's
it.
literally daddy's girl without knowing it.
yeah, actually though.
exactly.
But, you know, she has major daddy issues, so like she definitely wouldn't want to hear that.
Actually, not in the first half at least.
Then we don't want to hear it.
I don't know. I feel like she has a lot of resentment from her dad when they like had their meeting in the room and stuff. Like
That's the
clearly
thing.
she wants.
That's the thing. I'm saying from where the anime is situated, it's understandable.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
not gonna
But you're
spoil
saying-
the
okay,
other
yeah.
half because in the manga they'll explain it a little further, and you'll get it. You'll get it.
Okay. Yeah.
But-
I mean, I'm sure.
but-
I'm sure.
But definitely, Jotaro is definitely not the greatest dad. like I would not buy a cup of best dad in the world.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
believe that. I mean, you know, obviously we know that he was kind of an absent father. It was mentioned that he just like left for Tokyo. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know about.
He's a
so-
deadbeat.
Yeah,
And that's the point. It's that he's he's like, oh yeah, as long and even Jolyn called him out. As long as I'm okay, you don't even need to visit me.
Mhm.
yeah, that's so true.
And I'm just like, wow, Jotaro, why?
He didn't even say anything to that. That's the best part. He kind of just took it.
He
He was
did
like,
not
yeah.
react. He did not
Yeah.
even react. That's the coldest part about it.
I mean, I guess like in his defense, there wasn't much time to react. Like they were literally in the middle of a stand attack without even knowing it. Like, but at the same time, show a little more emotion.
I mean, it's Jotaro. Don't expect too much from him.
I know.
But I would have expected at least a nerve to be touched, and that did not happen. Or better yet, even though that it was just for the sake of waking Jolene up, first thing he does when he wakes out of a nightmare, punches his daughter in the face.
これで面会室から出よう。
It's what
Oh
happened.
yeah, that was
It's what
pretty
happened.
funny.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow. It starts really well with daddy issues. Daddy
Mhm.
issues, the Jojo series. How do you like that?
That's what happens when you got a sugar daddy like the Speedwagon Foundation. You don't need to do much. You're covered.
Oh,
True.
ouch. That hurts.
But actually, I want to discuss Jotaro on this real quick because, I guess Minato can't really answer this as much. Maybe the rest of you guys can. No offense, Minato, but Jotaro we've seen from the different parts has had multiple character designs from the part 3 to part 4, and now this part. His getup just keeps changing. What was your guys' impression this time around?
Really nostalgic for part 3 style. I mean, I liked this style. I liked it better than part 4. But I somebody pointed this out to me while I was watching it with them, that I don't remember if it was always like this, but in this style of animation that they're doing with his getup this time, his hat is also his hair, and like I'm pretty sure that was always a thing, but I feel like it's even more of a thing now. Like I am noticing it way more in this season, and maybe it's just because it's been a while.
Oh,
But
that's probably why. Because it's the fact that once you see it, you cannot unsee it, and I'm
the
just
problem.
like, why?
Yeah, it's the worst. I hate it. Every time I look at it, I get angrier.
I mean, I think it's hilarious, and I feel like I've
It's
always
funny to me,
noticed
too.
it, but it's never been like jarring, like straight in my face. And like the
It's
first
never-
shot that we see, it was like
Yeah.
straight in my face, and I was like, "Oh God, it's like so bad this season." And maybe it's just because I'm like I haven't seen it in a while, but like, oh, it's just hair hat, man, hair hat.
Yes, or half hat, half hair. My only complaint is that keep in mind that Jotaro is 41 years old by now. He
Yeah,
looks like
true.
he's still 17, and in fact, he looks younger in part 6 than he looked in part 3.
True.
I mean, the thing is, though, like, JoJo protagonists always look way older than they are supposed to look. And, like, also, by that standard, means that they will never look old, because they're always just gonna look like
Joseph
ducknesses, you know?
actually betrays your expectation. Because he actually is old, and oh my god. Old. And we see him in we see him in part 3 being an old man, and I think we see him in part 5 being like in a wheelchair. So
Yep, and forgetting things as well. Oh yeah.
yes, he's becoming senile and deteriorating. Like he's literally in his 80s.
When did we see him in part 5? Was that like at the end when they were they got given the turtle and everything?
Oh, sorry, no.
I think it's somewhere around there.
Was it?
Okay,
I don't remember that, but
Like
I remember
after
part 4.
Coco. It could have been part 4, and I'm mistaken. But I know that the last time I saw Joseph, he's just too old to do anything. He's
Honestly,
just
if it
happy.
was in part 4, like I just don't remember because part 4 didn't leave that much of a mark on me.
What?
The problem is that it has to do with the fact that for a lot of people, me included, part 4 is the least favorite of a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that it hooked me in as easily, and I found it to be a lot slower than the other seasons personally.
It's also the fact that technically, like, it's like, you know, it's also the son of Joseph, born out of an affair. Nice. There's nothing going on, and when you're used to a vampire overlord that wants to kill the Joestar, and now you're just dealing with a petty serial killer that steals left hands, it's not the same feel at all.
True,
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
The hand fetish just
That's
doesn't
very true.
hit the same, man.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, that's unfortunate.
I know.
did like the arrow thing though.
Yes.
Like I thought that the arrow to like give the stands, like that was cool. But I mean,
Yeah, the
there's just,
Aeropod
like,
was great.
Yeah, but that was the only plot that I found really memorable of part 4. Like you're totally right; it doesn't hit the same as like the intensity of like vampire overlord Dio had for like the most of the series up to that point.
Yeah,
And at least in part 6, like we have this like tension of White Snake working for like he was one of Dio's underlings, and he's like trying to be loyal, like still, you know, like. Yeah, exactly. Like like we're back in it, you know. That's what I
like. What makes it interesting is like we actually do see Dio, and you're like, no.
Just for a millisecond, and a very young Dio too.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, like part 6, Dio is much younger as well, definitely. But this is what I like about this. It's that part 6 continues with Dio's will as the enemy in that story, if you will. Like people that just carries on his last wishes, essentially.
Yeah, I think that like Jojo, one of the main components of Jojo is that Dio is the antagonist. Like,
yes.
So it only makes sense that it's more appealing when we're following like what Dio wanted, even if he's not around himself right now. You know, like that makes it way more fun, and it makes the stakes way higher because you know that the baddies are real bad if they're like on Dio's side.
Yes, and to be fair, keep in mind that his name literally means God, so it makes some sense to a degree.
Just can't kill this guy. Just can't kill him.
You can't kill him. He's like a cockroach.
Actually, even if you kill him, he can still fight you somehow.
Yeah, I mean, just look at how far we've come now.
Yes. True. Yes.
I gotta say though, the whole like disc thing this season has been really fun. I thought that was a really cool, weird stand to bring up. And the fact that you can separate the stand from the person is really cool because you kind of end up with these people who weren't supposed to have stands that just get mixed and matched with stands because of like what Pale Snake wants to do, and I think that's really cool.
That was really cool. Like Highway to Hell and Mcqueen, that was like it took me a while to understand. No, that was not his stand. He was just given one, and I'm like, what?
Mcqueen was a really good stand, but also like, goddamn, that is a dark stand. Okay, like.
Yeah, and that's the point of the stand. And the point of the stand is that it's supposed to be useless.
But it's perfect for him.
Exactly the right person.
Yeah,
and that's what made it so dangerous. And I'm like, wow, man.
And
Wow.
I like the part of what makes this Pale Snake so dangerous this season is that like he just has a bunch of
All of
discs,
those stands.
and he can
Yes.
just find a prison person that has the personality that he needs to make that stand work, and then bam, you have somebody really dangerous. Like that's so cool.
Like
Yeah.
Marlene mentioned in the stand, that one was, oh my god, why?
Yeah, but McQueen for me was like, that was I think my favorite of the stands so far, just because of like he's such a ridiculous character, and then you just have him trying to kill Ares over and over again because he's just trying to kill himself, and I'm like, what? Like
Yes,
Hermes doesn't
and which is
deserve
hilarious.
this.
And
It was great.
I just like when Hermes like, oh yeah, think about Mondays, and no one likes Mondays, but people look always forward on a Saturday. I got arrested on a Saturday.
The luck he had that he explained. I was going to shoot myself, and a woman fell out, and I shot her by accident. I'm like, what?
No. He was cleaning his gun, and a woman was going to kill herself by jumping off the roof, and by luck, he shot her in midair.
Now that's fucked up.
That's some terrible
Yeah, but I
luck.
thought that he was cleaning his gun to shoot himself. No,
Yes,
like
that's-
he was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was exactly what was happening, and he didn't know the gun was loaded. So, unfortunately, he discharged on a falling woman as she fell down.
That is the worst luck a person can have.
Also, like, I would actually be so curious to see how that actually went in court, because that's got to be a weird gray area. Like, Your Honor, this
the
woman was
problem-
jumping to death.
The problem is that he was still in prison and became the prison janitor. So, and from what he says, when he explained it, he thought that he aimed at her and shot her, and then she fell. So they didn't actually all see it. So the testimony was, you see, it's kind of rigged.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Actually,
And I'm like, poor guy, but oh my god.
well,
But
Uh,
also,
like-
like, you know what? He is he is the worst kind of person, though. Like, he absolutely is.
God, yeah, I
mean, he
hated
only
having him on
is
screen.
He only is because he has a stand. Otherwise, he would just be long dead.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But
Although
I
I
mean, like,
guess
the thing is,
he
like, his
doesn't have one
personality
anymore.
is why he ended up having the stand, right? Like, he was already like a woe is me type of guy who was like,
And
constantly
this stand just
moping.
worked perfect.
Yeah. So, like,
Uh,
partially, it is still him, though, because
Oh yeah. I would say that it like I would not be surprised if he developed his stance by suicidal tendency. It would have worked so much better because the mix and match was so great that somehow I actually wanted to believe that he developed it on his own by his strong need to kill myself.
But wait, Tensa, I thought stands only came from being shot by the arrow.
It actually comes mostly from being shot by the arrow, especially for the Joestar genre.
Mhm.
But they tend to try to explain that it's not just by the arrow. Some of them are just born out of strong will. Keep in mind that if you look at all of the descendants, not counting Jolene, they didn't get shot by the arrow and they got stance.
This is true.
But I think that's also specifically because of the Joestar line, right? Because, like, the
Yes,
first,
it's the blood. It has to do with the bloodline,
Yeah, it has to
definitely.
do with their
Because
bloodline.
yeah, that's why they tend to say you are a Joestar, and then Stans appears out of nowhere.
I find it's pretty messed up
but-
though that all the
Yeah.
guys just get it, and Jolene's like, nah, you don't get it. You got arrow.
And keep in mind that once we go into part 7, there's something that replaces the arrow, but it will still give you stands. But you'll see. But as of now, it's like the arrows. Everyone wants to get their hands on the arrows. Then your friend's cousin gets their hands on the arrow and they get a stand. It just spreads everywhere and it's just insane.
And you level up your stand, and it becomes Requiem mode. Yeah,
Yes, like Gold Experience Requiem. Yes.
there you go.
But my favorite part is how that Pucci in the games and in the series are voiced by two different characters, and basically think of it as a Fates Stay Night trio, if you will, because Dio is voiced by Takehito Koyasu, which also voices Ramses II in Fate Strange Fake. Long story short, he has a long history with Tomokazu Seki, the one that voices Gilgamesh, which now voices Pucci.
Oh.
And they had this long career of, you can say, bromantic voice acting, if you will. Because there's like, it's this kind of thing is, if you recognize the voice of Gilgamesh, you'll see the voice of Dio always somewhere in the same series for like no reason at all. Because they're kind of like those long-standing colleagues for a while. However, I really expected Joji Nakata to continue his voice of Pucci because he was always the voice of Pucci in the games. And I really just got accustomed to it. But hey, Gilgamesh can do it too.
Actually, it's good. It's good he mentions it, Pucci, because Pucci would be the next character to discuss because we get very little insight onto him.
For now, I know all about Pucci, but I can't say anything right now because one, it has not been revealed into the anime, and it's the only thing that I will tell you is that he's literally trying to search for salvation. As per episodes 10 and 11, he talks about how humans are wants to attain heaven. That's basically his entire goal. Like, imagine the priest that wants to lead people to the chosen place. That's basically his entire character. But there's more to it than that, and you'll see when they reveal it.
I kind of like that they kept a lot of his motives hidden for the first part of part 6, because it kind of like leaves you wondering. And so I think that for a lot of people, considering like Netflix just got all of JoJo on the platform, if they're starting with if they're starting with part 6, then like it's kind of like a good hook, because then it'll make people want to go back and see what's so great about Dio, right? Like,
oh yes,
why is this guy so committed to this salvation of his, and like,
yes,
why is he even here? Why does he care about the prison so much? Like there's a bunch of questions.
yes, there's a lot. That's the thing, and that the thing is that that's the thing. A lot about him is not even revealed. Not even, and the other thing that I did not like is how they basically changed Heavy Weather's ability, because Weather Report actually has the ability to evolve into Heavy Weather, and I believe in the episode 12, he turns people into frogs.
He turns people into frogs.
No, he didn't actually turn people to frogs. He manipulated the weather.
That we know of.
They actually turn into snails in the manga, by the way.
Oh.
Well, we haven't seen that.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's when I mentioned earlier how they change names. That was the not surprising part. The surprising part is when they change people into frogs instead of snails, because his original ability is literally turn people into snails.
Well, Tensa, I actually want to interject in at least with that episode specifically, just to make a correction, is that he summons a storm cloud from South Africa carrying poisonous frogs and drops it in Florida on the prison. He doesn't. No one gets changed.
Never mind. That's probably why. Okay. I probably misinterpreted it then.
It's just a big storm. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to send a storm from South Africa to Florida.
Mind. So that I just realized. Oh god, that's a later ability. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry,
okay.
Now we know.
Spoilers.
It's okay. It's okay. You'll see a lot of cooler stuff as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, turning people into snails, like as dope as that is, not the most groundbreaking stand that we've seen.
True.
I mean, and of course, if you played the games, you already know which one is the most groundbreaking. You already know. You're already seen. We've seen it all.
So
Fair enough.
But if you have not, well, play the JoJo games at least. You'll get an idea.
with all that being said, though, would you say that the first part of JoJo Part 6 did well in concealing Pucci a bit? Like, we get glimpses into his type of character, we hear the sinister music and so on, but we don't really know him enough as an antagonist.
That's what makes Pucci more likable, actually.
That we don't know
I agree
what goes
with
on
that.
in his head, almost.
Exactly. The fact that you don't know his actual goals and why he's doing what he does makes him more interesting. It's the fact that you know that he's supposed to be evil, but you don't know why. And I like people that are not, how can I say it, obviously the bad guy, even though that they are, but they're not obviously the bad guy. They're just the bad guy for some reason. And the more it develops, the more you know, and the more you understand, and the more it becomes more captivating. So it's actually kind of cool. That is what I. This is why I like Part 6. This is one of the reasons why I like Part 6 the most. It's that they actually can do the build up, and they did it well. Comparison to Part 5, when they were just hiding Diavolo the entire time, and they just revealed them out of nowhere, it's not as fulfilling.
Agree with that. I thought that part 5 for me, like, it kind of, at the beginning, I felt like they were doing that build up well, and then they kind of just dropped it, like you said. And that's what was disappointing, because I was really looking forward to the build up, and it kind of sucked that they were like, okay, we're tired of doing it, so here's
literally what it sounded. That is literally what it sounded for me. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, Pucci's I think Pucci's gonna end up being a really cool antagonist for Part 6 for sure. And so far,
yes.
I'm really happy with his execution. I think they're doing a great job at keeping the mystery.
Definitely.
All right. Looks like we have some points here and there of his future expectations of what's going to go on, what Part 6 did, maybe had its shortcomings here and there, but I feel like a relative sense is that Part 6 was a good step in its first installation, and we can expect even better in the second installation.
Yeah, definitely. I liked it a lot.
For sure.
I liked what they did with the first part. Yeah. Definitely recommend it to anyone that's been interested in JoJo. And if you're like me and you haven't seen the rest of JoJo, I think you're good to go watch this as like your jumping in point, and then go watch the rest.
Just avoid the fort, please.
No, you gotta watch it all, man.
No. I mean, don't start by the fort. That is my only advice.
Yeah.
Like, definitely you still have to watch the fort, but make it not your first.
Yeah,
that's all I ask.
All right. With that, I believe we've made a good amount of segue into the topic. Our anime review for JoJo Season 6, Part 1. And seems it was a relatively well discussion about our thoughts, impressions, expectations, and so forth. So, well, once again, this was only part 1, so there is a lot we left out, which would build up into part 6. Tensa knows this, as he said, he has read the manga, so he is much more well informed than us. And so, with that being said, I believe this is a good place to end the episode. I'm happy that everyone was able to come out and hear our podcast on whichever platform, be it YouTube, the official Otaku Crew, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all that jazz. And with that, I hope to catch you on the next episode. We're big things coming in the new year, and we'll hopefully be dropping our Twitch channel soon, as well as an introduction to us off of the platform, and maybe some other projects. So I look forward to it. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks for listening, guys.
For sure. Just don't sleep in the piano this time.
Yes, don't sleep in the piano.